Welcome to Faith Talk. This is Nick and
Jason. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm Paige. Good morning.
Hi, Paige. We'll get to you.
Okay.
I like her eagerness. What about you,
She's
Nick?
ready.
She is raring to go.
As always, you'll be able to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio and the church website. But
That is great. I don't know how you do all that, Nick, but I'm glad you do.
But if you're watching this on YouTube, you know the news. We are live video now. Yeah.
That's great. And if you'd like to send us some questions that you want to ask about your faith journey or growing as a disciple, or if you'd like to come on Faith Talks and talk about your faith journey, I think it's so vitally important that we hear about different people's faith journeys, and it can really encourage us to grow in Christ. And today we're so grateful to have Paige with us. She's a wonderful volunteer in our community that works at Mary Hill. And we are glad that you're with us today, Paige. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Paige, tell us about your faith journey.
Absolutely. So when I was born, my parents kind of fell out of the habit of going to church. And so I attended kindergarten, Jack and Jill. Back in the day, I was 5 years old.
Where is Jack and Jill?
Jack and Jill would be, well, it's no longer in existence, but back in the day, it was in Dothan, Alabama. So I went to Jack and Jill, and Miss Reynolds asked us a question, and she said, do any of you know the true meaning of Christmas? And I was that kid. My hand flew up to answer every question that was asked.
I can see that.
And I know. And so I said, it's because all of our toys are worn out and Santa knows we need new ones. Well, imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise when Miss Reynolds said, that has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas. Mm-hmm. And some other students said, well, it's Jesus' birthday. And I had not heard of Jesus. Here I am living in Dothan, Alabama, in the Bible Belt of the world, and not heard of Jesus.
How old were you then?
I was 5 years old.
5 years old.
So I went home and I asked my mom, I said, do you know the true meaning of Christmas? And she said, of course, it's Jesus' birthday. And I said, well, I didn't know that. And so the next thing I know, my parents are now back in the habit of going to church. We're going every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, whenever the doors are open. So that was my first introduction of Jesus. And I have to tell you, in Sunday school, I had two ladies, Miss Morris and Miss Norris, who took an active interest in me. And I'm about in the third or fourth grade now, and I learned of Jesus' love. And then also when I was in school once a month, the Bible ladies would come, and they'd have these big felt boards, and they would put Zacchaeus and the sycamore tree on the felt board. And I remember the Bible ladies saying at the end of each lesson that Jesus would stand at the door to our hearts and ask to come in. And I remember saying that prayer. But that was really a seed that was planted. Mm-hmm. So it took growing a little bit to understand. And then I guess I was about in the 5th or 6th grade, and our church had little small classes to kind of explain to us about what our Christian faith was like. And so I was baptized, because, I'm a Baptist, so, we dunk them in the Baptist church. So I was dunked.
We do too. Yeah. We're not in Methodist church.
Okay. So I was baptized and became official member of the church. I still attend Memphis Baptist Church today. And then I wish I could say that with my faith journey, I was the perfect teenage kid. I was not. And in fact, my husband and I found out we were going to have a child when I was 18 and he was 20. And we've been married 41 years now. And so it was a struggle there. But I was able to get my teaching degree. He was able to get a business degree, and we had another child. So at this time, we've got 2 kids, and I'm teaching school. And I know that kids are struggling, but it wasn't until later that I realized that those families that are struggling and have the disciplinary issues, why they have those things. So I guess the girls, Whitney was 13 and Brinley was 10, and we found out we were going to have Jack. And then I had help, though, because I had 2 daughters that were helpful. And I would like to say that my faith grew during that time, but that was probably the hardest part for young moms to have those children. It's hard to make time to read their Bibles, to do a prayer journal, because there's just not enough time. If you have 5 minutes, you're probably taking a nap or doing laundry. So that's a challenge. But as my children got older, my faith did begin to grow. I found out as the kids were older, I had time to read my Bible. I was able, now I was that person too. Going to start at Genesis and go all the way through. Got stuck in Leviticus and couldn't move forward. That was just it. I was like, I'm moving to the New Testament. But still, my faith has grown over the years, and I'm just very thankful that my husband and I were able to teach Sunday school for young adults and young couples for about 12 or 13 years. And this is our first year of moving out to a regular class for a little bit to get just a bit of a break and get fed ourselves.
That is great.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to hear your own faith journey. When I think about Philippians 1:6, the good work that he has started in you, how you came to know Christ, he shall continue on. What's God doing lately? How are you growing in the present? And then he shall complete upon the day of Christ Jesus. And it's wonderful to hear about your faith journey and how that you can use that in serving in Mary Hill.
Absolutely. So in Philippians 2:3, we are to put others in front of ourselves. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or conceit, but consider others as more important than yourselves. And then I love it when Paul says, and I think it's Philippians 3, maybe verse 11 or 12, I'm not sure, but put the past behind you and move forward. So that's kind of the mission that we live by. But at the Mary Hill service, we are all about helping individuals and families to succeed while we protect children. And, as a teacher, looking back, many of the students that had behavioral issues or had trouble succeeding, they didn't have concrete services met. There was some kind of breakdown in the family. Now, that's not in all, but that's in a good bit of them. So I have learned that putting others in front of myself is harder than what I thought, because I was always the first one in line. I couldn't wait to be the first one in line, no matter what, to go outside and play or to lunchroom or whatever. But now learning to put others in front of myself. So we believe at Mary Hill Center that if everyone has a sustainable career, if everyone knows of available resources and they have the motivation to move forward, then they can succeed. And all of our programs that we have are centered around that concept.
I think that is wonderful. And it's wonderful to hear about your own story. I'm thinking about that you were a pregnant teenager.
I was.
And to think about, that must have been very challenging.
It was challenging.
How did your parents respond?
It was very challenging for my entire family. So I was a senior in high school, and Taylor was going to college, and that's my husband. Mm-hmm. And then I found myself expecting our oldest daughter, Whitney, and telling my parents was a challenge. Just not knowing what to do. There were not like Save a Life was there, but there was in Dothan, but there was not like pregnancy, the Dale County Pregnancy Center or anything like that. We didn't have like a place for young teenagers in crisis to figure out what our next steps were. Very thankful. My church totally embraced me, had the most wonderful, I had a wedding shower and a baby shower all in the same day. I mean, it just was incredible how the support that we had. And my minister took a very active approach to making sure that other women would mentor me. So that was a challenge. And she had colic. So she was the worst baby that ever lived. Sweet young.
Did you think this is punishment from God?
I did. I really did. I really did. I thought this is because of all the bad things that I've done, all the bad things Taylor's done. We are stuck with this baby. And finally, when she was 4 months old, it just went away. So it was a struggle, but she got much better. And Taylor and I went to school. We both worked, and we were both going to school at night at Troy University. And went the old WTVY building, because that's where Troy University was at the time, and we'd have to go to Fort Rucker to some classes. And then we found out before I graduated that we were going to have Brindley. And then finally we both finished school. We thought we had it made. We were employed. We had a home. We are moving forward. And lo and behold, we find out we're going to have Jack. So it's like all of it starts again.
Well, that's exciting. And it's great to hear your story. I believe, as Christians, that we are wounded healers. Mm-hmm. I've gone through some transitions myself this last year, and I've been reminded how that people will tolerate your excellence but they will embrace your humanity.
Absolutely.
And you can use those experiences, lean into that, those spiritual muscles, in helping to serve at Mary Hill. Talk to us about Mary Hill and the services that you provide.
All right. So I have to first tell you how I came to Mary Hill.
Yeah, tell us.
So since I live near the Florida line, coming to Ozark is not what most people would think would be a good job move, but that's what I did. So I retired from teaching in 2017, and that lasted for about 2 or 3 months, and I did not like sitting at home. I'm not Susie Homemaker. And so I went back to school to get my clinical mental health degree. And then in 2020, so during the midst of COVID, I was hired to come to Mary Hill Family Service Center for about 20 hours a week. Well, 20 hours a week very quickly moved to 50 to 60 hours a week. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I learned that Steve Klaus, who was then the Ways and Means chair, made sure that all the family resource centers received workforce development funds, because part of Governor Ivey's initiative to put 600,000 people into the workplace. And so with community colleges, with high schools, with family resource centers, just trying to make sure that people had what they need so they could either return to the workforce or enter the workforce for the first time. And it was not just about getting a job in fast food service, which that's a great entry-level job for someone to get into fast food service. But it was so that people could somehow get a certificate or some type of certification so that they could get a better job, a more sustainable job. And that not all young people are ready to go to college, but they do need some type of career move. So we began the mission of removing barriers. So if a person did not have what they needed, like work boots or a welding helmet or whatever, then we had the workforce development money, and we could spend that to help people become successful with their jobs. What I didn't know was how strong the barriers were. So people lacked food. And we're very thankful to First United Methodist Church here in Ozark, because we could not have a food pantry if it were not for your continued support. We're very thankful not only for the financial support so we can buy food at the food bank, but also for the Sunday school classes who do food drives for us, do hygiene drives for us. So we're very thankful for them. And they need to know that we serve. It used to be $6.50. We started keeping better records, and we are about $5.98 this past month. Wow. For food per month, unduplicated. So there's that fine line between giving someone a hand up and then just giving them a hand out. Now, we have a lot of senior citizens, and we have a lot of what's called kinship families. So grandparents raising their grandchildren that do not qualify for food stamps or anything like that. And so we try to help make sure that they have what they need for them and for their children or grandchildren. And with that support, we have been able to love our people by putting others in front of ourselves. And I would love to say that that was just easy peasy for me to start off with, but my first thoughts were, why don't you get a job? Why don't you do this? Why haven't you done this? And I realized that we were not all brought up the same way. So it's very important to realize, as Harper Lee says in To Kill a Mockingbird, to walk in other people's skins or in their shoes to see what their lives are like. So if you don't know that there's a world outside of your community because you don't have transportation, then you don't know. But then again, we have Steve Klaus, so I have transportation. So if a person needs help getting to a job, if a person needs help getting to one of the junior colleges, whether it's the Aviation School, Enterprise State, or the Wallace Community College, we remove barriers so that people can become successful.
That is wonderful. Well, I've heard people around here talk about just what a great ministry, and you do, Paige, and you have tremendous leadership and doing such a tremendous asset for our community. It's a wonderful ministry, and really proud of you and the work that Mary Hill does. So as I hear you saying, it's more tailored to each individual and what they need. It is. So What if someone came in, what do you call them, clients or participants? And so if they needed some help with job skills and some interview experience, do you do mock interviews and help them prepare for that?
We do everything. So, yes. So, with workforce development, Paige Hefner is over workforce development. And we do have to do exactly what you said. We have to tailor those goals and what's needed for those goals for each individual. So there are some that are ready to move just as soon as they come in. They just need help with a resume. But you would be surprised that Paige has to teach someone how to shake hands. So when you shake someone's hand, it's a firm grip, and then look that person in the eyes. And then we even have a co-op student who is helping us right now. And I said, oh, would you please handle the phone because we've got a little meeting. And the phone rang and he said, hello? No. Soft skills. There are so many things that are needed with soft skills. So they may know how to do computers very well, but as far as speaking to people, looking them in the eye, and I'm not doing it now, but sitting up straight. And making sure that we cross our ankles, not our legs. So the mock interview skills, and we do ask them like what their needs are. And we worked with somebody this last Thursday. She had an interview this past Friday, and we were working with her Thursday the day before, and she needed to be dressed appropriately. So we went and we were able to get her clothes so that she looked very professional. And you know what? Sometimes you have people from your church that donate to our share closet, and we use what we have to make sure that they look appropriate for their interview. We go over all the skills and questions that we think they might be asked, and then we kind of help set them up for success.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
And I believe that is so in line with the teachings of Christ. For the gospel to be the gospel, it must be social.
It must be.
And you're living out all of those, not just mentioned to spiritually, but every aspect of their lives.
And there's something else with that too. So because we receive state funding, we can expose our faith without imposing our faith. So you've had lots of people to give us little devotion books and all. We can put that in every one of our food bags. We can lay those all out in the center. And the Bible is probably the most taken from our little library. So we have little New Testaments, and then we have Bibles of all, like we might have King James Version, bless their hearts, and then, NIVs and things. So we do have that available so people can pick it up if they want it.
That's great.
So we're very thankful for that. You guys are great to give us your materials. We love that.
We're glad to. We are glad to share.
Yeah, love that.
so important. Yeah, this is called Faith Talks, and we want our faith to talk.
That's right,
Paige. And your faith talks, and you can see it. I appreciate your joy and the enthusiasm that you have for Mary Hill. It is contagious.
Well,
it is electric, and so I'm sure that people can sense that. What verse, and you think about Mary Hill and your mission and ministry there, do you think about in working there?
I still go back to Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Consider others as more important than yourselves. That's the most important thing. And by serving other people. Jeremiah 29:11, I think. Don't hold me accountable to all these verses.
We're going to hold you accountable. She's recorded right here, right?
But, God has a purpose and a plan for all of our lives. And sometimes we just need to be reminded of that. Or sometimes we need mentors to walk us through what it is that we're supposed to do. So I think if we were to put others in front of ourselves, and that is a challenge to do, but that we are to have a servant's heart, and we are to continue to be in the hands and feet of Christ. So if we can do that to our communities, then our communities are going to just thrive. So that's our ultimate goal, isn't it? For everybody to love Jesus and for the community to thrive.
Exactly. And it's wonderful that you can use your experience and lean into that. I'm sure there may be some teenage mothers who come in and thinking, well, they're just going to judge me and they're just going to be cruel to me. Well, that was my story.
That's exactly
And I think that could be very affirming to them.
I think so too. And my story is not like some traumatic experience and then coming to know Jesus, but it is important to know my story because there are others that are out there that have hit speed bumps in the road. And so they do find themselves in a situation where either they are expecting unexpectedly, and then also where they may have lost their jobs, and maybe they're going to be seen as a failure. And, that's not the case. Again, Paul says, put all that in the past. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. So our hope is that all of our stories can help with the people that we serve. And most of us are a little older, so we have lots of life experiences. We have people that work with us that have gone through divorce that's been traumatic, so those stories can be shared. We have people that have gone through loss, and so we can share those experiences. So we try really hard not to dominate the conversation, but I think we have a lot more empathy. But with that empathy comes, all right, now let's get something going. So we do have to hold our participants accountable as they move forward. But as they move forward, we're right there with them every step of the way.
That's great. And we have ministries here, don't we, Nick, that can help those at Mary Hill.
Yeah, we Super Day.
Super Day. We provide food. We have a food ministry. And
grief group.
We have a grief support group. That's right. So if you know folks at Mary Hill that are grieving, they'd be welcome to come. And it's a listening ministry. We meet each month and listen and support each other with their grief.
That's good to know, because, we have some older women, and they are widows, and they come in sometimes they say they're just looking at the share cabinet, but they just need to come in and talk to someone. So I will definitely do that. That would be great. When does that mean?
One of the things in talking with those folks, a lot of times they say eating by themselves. They so miss eating together with someone else. I think Jesus never meant it for us to eat by ourselves.
I so agree.
We share life. When you can look into someone else's eyes and eat together, I just think that it makes everything better.
It does. And what would any of us do without our church families? We are all supportive of each other, with our church families. And, we are in the South, and there's no better way than to share a meal with someone.
Oh, yeah.
And so oftentimes we think about comfort. We think about comfort food.
Fried chicken.
That's right. We meet on the first Monday of the month at 5:30 in the fellowship hall. And so
with food?
With food. Of course. Amen. Dig in. Yes. We have food. We share together. It's like an AA group in this. I've never been to AA before, but they tell me, they share their name, whatever grief that has brought them there. We have a devotion, and we let each person share, and we listen and encourage each other. And so it's a very supportive, caring group. It's been going on since I got here the second time.
Yeah.
So
what a wonderful program that is.
It is.
And a lot of the community come to that. There's probably a small handful of actual church members that come. It's mostly the community.
Nick has been here for that group as well, and so he's exactly right. We have a lot of folks from our community that, just like he says, that, and we're glad for them too. They're welcome to come and
without
be a part.
being members. Then, so just anyone in the community. I love that. Love that.
We were glad for you to come and be a part of it.
That sounds great.
Well, thank you so much, Paige, for being on Faith Talks.
I love this. This is wonderful.
Well, we'll have you back.
Yes. If anybody wants to help out or need assistance or just want to volunteer, how can they do that?
So we are on social media. We're working on a website. It's not there yet, but we're working on a website.
Nick can help you with that.
So we're at 204 Catherine Avenue, and we're in the old Dale County Health Department building. So they can come see us. They can call us. They can reach out through our Facebook page. We love having volunteers, especially the first of the month, to kind of help fill food bags so that they're ready to roll, except the meat that we put in them. So we're very thankful for that. We're also very supportive of anyone to do like a hygiene bag, like just instead of saying, just bring hygiene, because then you don't really know what you need. So maybe just travel size shampoo, or maybe just travel size deodorant, things like that, because the people that we serve often do not have the funds to purchase those hygiene items that are necessary. In fact, sometimes when they walk in, I'm like, hold on, let me get you a hygiene bag before we get started. So, yes, that would be helpful.
How many people do you have working at Mary Hill?
So there are 9 of us right now. So where there was just me,
Yes.
there are 9 of us. So we have grown
Really grown.
tremendously.
That is so fast.
Yes.
How many people, like, average would you say you serve in a month?
So as far as workforce goes, it varies, but we always have about 16 to 20 on the transportation program. And believe it or not, with 2 vans, that's still hard to maneuver 16 and 20 that need to be at the same different places at the same time. And if their children need to be dropped off at daycare, we transport those children to daycare before we get them to work. So that's not a barrier for them. As far as workforce development, we usually serve about 40 per year, and we have had as many as 80. But we have a great success rate with our workforce development program. And then as far as the food pantry, we're right under 600 per month. And then as far as hygiene, about 150 per month. And the share cabinet with the clothes, we don't really keep the number for that. We just put a few items out at a time and let people just go through to get it. So we facilitate the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So it's in Dale County, and we have, last time I looked was last week, and we served 758 children in all of Dale County with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library.
Wow.
So yeah, we love that too. So
That's great.
Thanks.
Y'all are really involved.
Yeah.
we try. If the community needs something, we try to offer the service and then try to go after the funding so that we can get it and provide it.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job, and
Thank
Mary
you.
Hill is doing a great ministry
Thank you.
for our community, and we're very thankful.
Thank you. I've enjoyed being here.
Yes.
Well, we've enjoyed you being here.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thanks
you.
for listening and watching today on Faith Talks.